Cheers to a turbulent Tuesday, Zero DTE team. This is your routine debrief. So I'm going to start with a macro overview, and the way that I'm going to structure these videos from now on is I want to review the newsletter in the morning to see what I got right, what I got wrong, and hopefully take some lessons from there, and then also apply those to what we're looking for in the next session. So I'm going to start just with that macro overview. And here's what we got going on. I think it's safe to say that we're very nicely accepting into the lower edge of this value area. You can see that circled in white. And what that means in just basic volume profile theory is that we're probably going to want to go and test out the POC of the distribution, which I think is at about 3880. So if we're wondering what is our ultimate destination here, I think it's 38.30, and I do think that trades before we make a lower low, and I'm going to tell you why. So let's jump right into the newsletter. I'm going to switch screens here. Okay, so I titled today's newsletter ABCD. What does that mean? Very simply, so I'm going to try not to move my mouse too much for the majority of this, but for this section, so I'm thinking that we're in a bearish ABCD, which looks like this. A to B, B's at the top here, B to C, C's at the bottom here, and C to D. And D usually it's obviously we've already conquered this top part of it, so we already do have the pattern. D usually likes to continue a little bit, so there's usually a bit of a continuation leg, and that's where I think that we may pop through here and go check out this area. So keep in mind we said that 3880 was that POC of the year. If I just draw a quick horizontal here, it's pretty near that trend line. So that's kind of what I'm looking for is if I had to make a crystal ball assumption, I think that we're going to probably go up there. And if we don't, we'll talk about how we're going to trade that as well. There's a lot to trade, I think. I think we're going to have a few sessions before we quite get there. So just to kind of continue with that newsletter review, and it'll take us into the micro, so to speak. I'm just going to, again, switch screens. I'm going to put my newsletter here first, and I'm going to tell you what I'll be looking for as time moves forward here. Okay, so again, my personal viewpoint is I'm keeping that 3880 area in mind. I'm watching this area. If we get a pullback here, I think this is also a fantastic buy. I'm not necessarily expecting that much of a move. You can see that we do have a lot of support here, and even if I delete that TPO zone that I drew, there's two additional demand zones below that. So again, big picture, not necessarily important to us intraday. It's just kind of important to, I think, keep in mind the context. So we'll go right to the TPO chart. What happened in TPO land today? Again, this is our major support from the other day. We overnight, you saw in the newsletter, we gapped above that poor high, and we left a lot of space. We left that 100% long, 100% net long overnight inventory. What do the market gods like to do in that situation? They like to unwind it. And what we do? We had that perfect unwind, popped right through it. Didn't quite hit that POC, but that's okay. But pops right through into our demand zone, and then obviously we moved out. The pundits will tell you because of Netflix earnings, whatever the case, price found demand, and it traded like we thought it would today. So I said 36.90 to 37.60 in SPX. So again, I don't want to use my mouse too much, but from about this 3700 area in ES all the way up to like that 3770 area in ES, I expected that to be the dominant range for the day. And you see, as I separate the TPO, that's exactly what happened. And no, that's not me being very smart. That is simply a component of the support that was found in this demand zone. So I think it's really important that we closed above this 3740 area. So if I just flip back to the macro chart real quick, this area is I think the primary LVN of the chart. There's another one here at 3820, but this is a really important low volume node. And the fact that price closed above it, we're starting to kind of build time and volume above it. That's telling me that we're starting to accept into that area. And again, we accept into one part of the profile, we target the next. important structural area, which is that POC with that white arrow. So that's what's going on in the TPO. Again, it behaved as I thought it would at the beginning of open. I hate using I in these things, by the way. It just feels weird to say we. Uh, so I guess I'll say I. But I trust me, I don't think that I'm the man and I'm making the market move in any particular way. It's just a simple analysis of stuff that a lot of people are a lot better than I am at. So, anyways, just quick caveat there. So the final part of that newsletter is always volatility, and I think for me personally, volatility is always what I'm kind of gauging my primary assumption on. And again, downtrending. We didn't quite hit the bottom of the channel today, so it's going to be really important to watch what happens when we get down there. But we're in a clear downtrend. Even with that move this morning, we made a slightly higher high, but really didn't get much going. And in the afternoon, we didn't get much going at all. And so this is just telling me that we're accepting to the area, and we still have that bullish bias, and I'm still going to maintain that bullish bias until something changes. And if that does change, we will talk about that part tomorrow. So the playbook I played today was Pivot Chop, and I'm going to show you my results on the day just to see how we performed. Another caveat on these results, I did get lucky today. I had an ES play that worked out far better than it should have, just given the extreme move. So I'm dragging this screen over. Okay, so those are my results today. By the way, you're going to hear me say this all the time. I definitely welcome any engagement, be it in these YouTube comments, Twitter itself, or replying directly to the newsletter. I'm looking for engagement. I'm looking for ways that I can improve because I think, especially if you're consuming this, my improvement correlates with your improvement as well. And so just kind of trying to get better in that sense. So yeah, please engage. This is my results today. Again, that ES play did really well. That was just an assignment at 3,700. I figured out I might as well let it get assigned, and I was able to close it out at 76 today. So that worked really well. This is just my volatility, short. I think above 30, I'm going to always be short volatility. 30 to 20, above 40, I'm going to add because remember volatility is mean reverting, so that's why I have this position on. I haven't talked about that before. And then SPX. SPX was great. The assumption today was pivot chop. It turned out that pivot chop worked. The calls came real close to getting stopped, literally within 5 to 10 cents. So very fortunate day. Again, outperformance, I think, relative to what I usually do. Again, you saw the MES here, another 100.5 points there. It was a good day. Some days are not so good and some days are good. Some days you get lucky, some days you don't. So that's what happened today, just based on this morning's plan. It was just execution of that. Nothing fancy, because remember, if you're not executing your plan, you are tilting. And I think that's really all that we need to talk about today. So please, if you're not subscribed to the newsletter, subscribe. You'll get that opening report tomorrow. That's going to start coming out at 10:15 a.m. Let's see if I have anything else here in my little notes. Oh, a couple things I didn't mention. So let's look on the shorter time frame. This is just immediately applicable in case you see this and you want to engage before the next piece of content comes out. So two things. First of all, this range here, this encompasses the first 15 minutes of both today and last Friday. And in both of those days, we reversed hard. So this range, I think, is a really important supply zone. So as price starts to investigate and see if it thinks value is here, higher, lower, whatever, this is kind of this entire zone to me is going to favor the short side. So just again, to elaborate, long-term assumption stays long. I'm still buying pullbacks, but we are in an area of significant supply. Remember, 3880 is all the way up here. So we still have to get through this before we have that in our sights. And on top of that, let's go back to this chart real quick. So I want to direct your attention to just the areas of value. This is the balance for the week. We're currently above it. So remember, I'm always looking to look for a fade back into balance for those intraday trades. So watch that level. It's on ES at about 37.55 here. And it's interesting. So this blue area is the monthly value areas, value area highs and lows, highs and lows. This top portion here at about 3740-ish is last month's value area high, and we are consolidating above that right now. So again, it's just adding to that potential bullish bias and something that we want to consider for pullback buying as we navigate the supply zone that I just showed you. And yeah, that's all you need to know. It's obviously there's a lot going on. It's a beautiful volatility environment, so we want to stay nimble. And I will come back to you with more tomorrow. And until then, stay classy.